The world has come up with some fantastic fighter planes. The Supermarine Spitfire, the Messerschmitt Bf-109, Focke-Wulf FW-190, the North American P-51 Mustang, and of course the Mitsubishi A6M0. But something you won't see among those names of great World War II fighters is the Granville Brothers GB Model R. This was a 1932 racing plane. Now, I'm keeping the camera quite far away here because I can barely hear myself. Odds are you can actually hear me, but I just want to be safe. This little barrel of danger, of terror, well, you know what? Let's compare it to something. We're going to put this GB right next to something that you would have seen in the World War II. Let's find ourselves the Messerschmitt Bf-109, and let's see how big that is. Yeah, you see this? It's got maybe half the wingspan. It's maybe half as long. It's maybe only slightly shorter, and it's got fixed landing gear. Now, the GB is powered by a Pratt & Whitney R1340 Wasp engine, and it is designed for one thing: straight line speed. This is a racing plane. Now, sure, this Bf-109E here can do 320 miles an hour on a good day, maybe a bit more. This thing was doing 320 miles an hour. Well, at least I think it was 320 miles an hour. I may have to check with that, but it was pretty damn fast for 1932. Mainly because it's so small and streamlined. This thing is so small, it doesn't have flaps, it doesn't have room for them. It's also pretty light, hence the fixed landing gear. Because, well, if you were going to have retractable landing gear, it would need a lot of heavy hydraulic equipment, like how the 109 has. Got a thicker wing, the Bf-109. Look how razor thin this wing is here, whilst the 109, well, it's still pretty thin, but as you can see, the wing root is far thicker, whilst here it's practically a flat plane. Huh, flat plane. Bad pun. Maybe it isn't a pun, I'm not sure. But the fact is, this little thing was made for speed and, well, not much else. Going fast in a straight line between some posts. So we're going to see how fast you can get this thing. We'll have to get rid of the 109 first. And let's take this little bugger for a nice run. Now this may take a little while. It is a radial engine. These things are rubbish. And it's also got a carburetor, so if I push down on the elevators too much, it will lean the fuel mixture out. And the engine will lose power. So let's get the power on. See just how fast it can get. Speed up the takeoff roll. Now because it doesn't have flaps, that means you have to take off manually. It's going at 310 kilometers an hour. That's about 186 miles per hour. Now, we just need to keep this thing straight and level. No, not into the trees, thank you. No. I believe you can, yes, you can just about tell the torque of the engine is making the plane roll naturally to the right. Or maybe that's just my Xbox controller. I'm not sure. It is ever so slightly moving, so Maybe it's my controller, maybe it's the torque of the engine. But we're doing 354 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but that's pretty fast for a plane from 1932. Rolls good. So this is how you're supposed to turn it. Long, sweeping corners. Very minimal elevator. Keeping as much speed as you can. You try and pull a combat maneuver on this. It doesn't, well, the wings just don't have the lift. So it stalls. So why would I want to pull a combat maneuver in this thing? Well, it just so happens someone thought that the GB would create a good fighter plane. Now, someone thought the GB would create a good fighter plane. Now, that person was not from the 1930s. That person was a lot more recent, and they turned this existing GB model here into a fighter. And that's what we're going to look at now. It's a bit far down, I think. It's down in the US Army section. We're on the Golden Age module of the BAT mod here. And there it is, Granville P-45 from 1935. This never existed. The GB was never ever a fighter plane. Now, there's 5 different loadouts. You've got the default, which is 4 30 caliber machine guns. You can replace those 30 cals with 50 cals. Got the 4 30s and 2 100-pound bombs, 4 50s and 200-pound bombs, and completely empty. Now, we need to see if this plane would have been a good fighter, because that's the question. I've seen this asked on Quora. Would the GB have been a good fighter plane? And the general consensus is no, but can we prove that? Now, sure, this is only a simulation game. It's not real life. But maybe we can prove that the GB might have actually been a good World War II fighter plane, or at least an early World War II fighter plane. But we need to test that, of course. Now, I'm not going to be flying this. I don't do well in planes. I don't do well in dogfights. I like the big lumbering heavy bombers, and flying fighter planes just isn't for me. So instead, I'm going to be observing. What's this T-21 thing? I don't know. We shall observe in the Ant-20, which is a great big lumbering. Oh, there we go. This is RAF roundels. Let's put the USSR thing on there. Yes, you can see 8 massive engines. This thing is ridiculous, but it's not a warplane. So that's how we're going to observe things. And now we shall have 4 Granville P-45s armed with the standard 30 caliber machine guns. US Army Air Force. Now, unfortunately, these little Granville things, you can turn the markings on. There are no markings. So there may be skins for it, I'm not sure, but as far as I'm aware, these will never have markings on. That's just how it is, I'm afraid. So there you can see 2 wing-mounted gun pods, and the other 2, there we go, nose-mounted. There was barely enough room in the GB for anything, much anything than fuel. So P-45, we've already seen much how it reacts. It wasn't designed for combat maneuvers, so maybe this thing would be better as an interceptor, but we need to see how it would fare in a dogfight. So 430 cows against something. What might the US have been thinking they were going to go up against? Let's see. I know, something Russian. Something Russian that comes to mind. That would be fairly similar. Oh, it's not in the Russian bit, is it? Oh, maybe. Oh, that's a bit too new. 1939. I want something from around the same time period, so I'm gonna have to go into the Spanish Republicans. And there we go. I-16 Type 5 Mosca. Just so we know what we're up against, this is an I-16. This has, I believe, 2 to 4 7.62mm machine guns. Very fast fire rate as well, I believe. In fact, I don't believe, I know so. This may only have 2 guns, actually. Let's see. I do apologise that this may be taking quite a while. Yeah, I think this may have, at the most, 3 guns, possibly one of the nose. If not, just the 2 wing-mounted guns. So, we're going to see how these P-45s react in a dogfight with these I-16s. So there's my Ant-20. That thing is... We'll just turn the engines off. And just turn it into a observation aircraft. Here are our Granville P-45s. And here are our I-16s. Now they do look a lot bigger. And that's because they more than likely are. They were quite small for a fighter plane, but bigger than a P-45/GB. Here we go. P-45s versus I-16s. How's this gonna go?
Oh damn! Get him off me! You're right there.
Yep, only wing-mounted guns on these particular I-16s.
I got it. Hang on.
Oh, there's my Ant.
Mayday! I'm gonna try to ditch.
We've lost an I-16 already. And number 7 over there has been hit.
Return to base immediately. Over. Need some help over here. Get him off me.
These... Oh, there we go. He's on fire and he's gonna hit the ground. He's gonna possibly... Actually, no, he's not. He's still got
Return
some...
to base immediately. Over. Return to base immediately.
These guys just
Everybody,
aren't
get him off
doing
me.
well.
060.
They are clearly at a disadvantage. They seem to be slower than the I-16s. And clearly are not as maneuverable. They just can't get the chance to get some shots in. Look, as you can see, he's stalling. And he's having difficulties with his carburetors. I think he is. Oh, no, it's not going to be a collision, but he's definitely lost a lot of height. Oh. Oof, yeah. I hate to say, I'm not a great commentator. Oh, and that's another issue. The lack of flaps, the low wing area, the lack of lift, and the fact that he stalled. That killed that P-45. He was too low to recover from that. And now we only have one P-45 still in action, but it's not going to get a shot in. In fact, no, the pilot's dead. The pilot has been killed. So no, this is a 100% victory for the I-16s. It was clear that a difference in armament would not help here. The I-16s are just far too maneuverable for the P-45s. So, let's switch things up. Let's make this more, maybe along the lines of Aggressor Squadron. Let's put these P-45s against the Boeing P-26 Peashooter. Now, it depends on how this is armed. It's either starts with 2 30 cals or 1 50 cal and 1 30 cal. So we're gonna keep things somewhat even here. We're gonna have just the 2 30 cals here. Will these P-26s be able to match the P-45s? We'll see. So here are the Peashooters in all their glory. As you can tell, a lot more similar to a P-45. It's smaller than the I-16. It's got an open-top cockpit. The wings have no flaps. Fixed undercarriage. Not quite as streamlined though, so maybe the GBs will have an advantage over the Peashooters. I'm just gonna turn my volume down a bit more, just so I can make sure that you guys can hear me, because I always fret about that. Here we go. P-26 Peashooters. And you can just about see my Ant 20 in the distance there, doing a nosedive. There's a tiny single dot just above the cockpit. Oh. The Peashooters have detected the P-45s. Now, I hate to say it, there is no such thing as a free camera in this game, so this is the best we can do. And here we go. P-26 Peashooters versus P-45 GBs. And we shall watch this from the perspective of our GBs, and he's taken some pot shots, does not appear to have done any substantial damage. But I do believe they're a bit more evenly matched. Oh, this. Now this is one of the issues. I think he's stalling, he doesn't have the lift, so he's got... That's not flutter effect, but he's clearly not able to keep the maneuver as hard as that. Whatever the word is.
This guy's good.
It's hard to tell if there's any real advantage here. Who is at advantage? Oh, someone's taking a pot shot. It would have been P-26 number 4 and Granville number 5. Oh, this P-26 is on the tail of number 8. And he's catching up. This could be the first kill here. Oh, a few shots there. Evasive maneuvers. Oh no, oh no, oh. The curse of the low lift wing has taken another P-26, not P-26, P-45. The low altitude of this dogfight is gonna be the death of these GBs. I'm not sure what this guy is doing. It appears to be some attempt to throw the aim of this P-26 off, and it does seem to have worked. But once again, low lift is meaning that this is not... It's becoming rather clear now that this is not a great dogfighter. Oh! Oh! I do believe we've just killed... Yes, the pilot of this P-26 is dead.
I got one.
And that's the first kill for our P-45s. But we're possibly going to lose another GB. I need to start calling these by their names. I keep getting the P numbers mixed up. GBs versus Peashooters. I do believe that this particular GB... Oh, no, his ailerons do appear to be working. Or maybe they're not. Maybe he just have jammed ailerons. Oh, there we go. There we go. Engine's gone. On fire. Well, that's the fuel tank, actually, that's on fire. Bailed out, this plane's dead. That's a confirmed kill. Oh, and there's only actually one remaining Peashooter, and it's got a fuel leak. Peashooter on its tail. It's clear that the Peashooter even outclasses. Oh, into the river. That was unexpected. Yes, it's very clear. The low left wing of this racing plane is clearly not doing wonders for the GB in a dogfight. It's starting to become fairly clear that although this was the GB was more of a match for the Peashooters, it was still clearly at a disadvantage. And I'm not sure if there's much else that it could possibly go against. I know. How about a biplane? There were still plenty of biplanes in use at that sort of time, but actually, that might not be a great idea, because a biplane is actually a lot more maneuverable than a monoplane. Still, we will try a biplane, and I think a suitable biplane would be a Japanese A4N biplane. Only two 30 caliber machine guns, or .303s, 7.7mm, and we're going to increase the altitude by 1,000 meters. So, here are our biplanes, A4N. They don't actually have a name, just A4N ones. In fact, they don't even have a name in game. It's just a biplane. Now, to be fair, these are more modern biplanes. These are from 1936. Perhaps it would have been better to go up against something older, but that's by the by now. We shall see how these GBs will fare against the A4Ns. Definitely going to be faster in a straight line, but we've already established that they're not good in turning dogfights. Will the AI fly these things the way they perhaps should be flown, or not actually taking any moves? I mean, it's clear they recognize their enemies, but they're not taking any... aha, there we go.
Oh damn, get him off me!
So he's building some distance on this A4N. And he is... yeah, he is pulling away, but not fast enough. And he's going to try and evade. Actually, he is pulling away, so the straight line speed is coming in advantage here. Oh, we've lost one. This one's going to hit the ground.
Return to base immediately. Over.
That was number 8. Number 5 and 6 are not participating in the dogfight. Oh no.
Return to base immediately.
And number 7's gone as well. The pilot's dead. So even against biplanes, GBs are not going to fare well. And it's clear those two, numbers 5 and 6, are not going to participate. So, GBs, yeah, they are not good dogfighters, but perhaps they can do something else. Perhaps they can be an interceptor. So, what we're going to do, we're going to switch things up a little. We are going to get rid of the friendly P-45s, and instead we're going to put them on the enemy team. And they're going to intercept us. Now, Maxim Gorky is not a bomber, but a bomber that these things might have conceivably gone up against is the Russian TB3. We're going to put a nice hefty bomb load on this. Give us some wingmen, and let's see how long it takes these GBs to shoot us down. So these are 4 Granville P-45 GBs armed with 4 30 caliber machine guns. Autopilot on. As you can see, we've got some nice gunner positions. But yes, let's see how these P-45s do. How long is it going to take them to shoot us down? Well, it always depends, really. It always depends. Sometimes things may go in their favour, sometimes they may go in our favour. But we just gotta see. And here they come for their first attack run. At least it looks like an attack run. No, they're actually gaining height. They're gonna try. Yeah, they didn't do too well there. They're trying to loop around us. And as you can see, their low lift wings means that it's taking a massive turning circle. They are really quite far below us. And I'm wondering if they even have the lift to get back up. They've lost an entire kilometer of altitude. Now, our gunners are still able to take pot shots. Actually, number 4 here is quite close, but he's risking getting shot by the tail gunner of red 2 or 3, but he didn't have enough lift or speed, so he stalled out, and in fact, number 1 has managed to get on the tail of red 2. Let's see how things go for red 2. And oh, there was some flame there. And red 1, I believe, will not be able to continue this engagement. His fuel tank has been perforated. The intermittent fire, this guy is done for. This plane will not be able to continue the fight. And he'd be crazy if he did try to. GB number 2 is now attempting to come in for the attack. And you can see what he's trying to get to. Pull a nice slow maneuver. But he just doesn't have the lift. I suppose, though, it would at least help work for an interceptor. Ooh, that's pretty close. Aerial kamikaze almost. Oh, and red 2 has started smoking. He's been struck by Granville number 4. There is some damage to the number 2 engine, but otherwise everything appears to be minimal. Oh, and GB number 1. Oh, the pilot's been hit. So he has paid the price. He should have bailed out when he had the chance. We have killed a GB. Number 2 is coming in. And in fact, it was my aircraft that shot it down. So technically I'm getting credited with the kill. GB number 2 is now coming in under intense fire from the defensive machine guns. Unfortunately, he's not putting any shots right. Most of those missed. Oh, there was... And the same issue has afflicted GB number 2. The same fuel tank perforation, intermittent fire. He really should be trying to bail out of that aircraft. So at this moment in time, maybe there's too many bombers. Or maybe there's too few fighters. Perhaps we'll have to come back to this one. But at this moment in time, I can more or less confirm GB is a rubbish dogfighter, and it's not a particularly good interceptor either. It is not maneuverable enough. Oh dear. They've done some damage. They managed a grand total of 1 kill in this entire video. But otherwise, it's just not maneuverable enough. Perhaps the TB3s are too slow, but I've already tested against Martin B10s, and the B10s are just too fast for this. Understandable, because the B10 was the fastest bomber of its day. Ooh, he's got a fuel leak. He's been struck. You see, any other fighter, this GB would have been able to get on the slotted on the tail of one of those bombers and been able to get some shots in, but nope. GB does not have the lift, and I believe, yeah. This isn't working. And even the caliber of the ammunition. Oh, maybe this GB here will help. He's putting some shots in. That's Granville number 4. We've got some additional hits onto Red 2. But minimal damage. Normally, you know, damage is quite bad when a bomber starts dropping its bombs. But it's not dropping its bombs, so therefore the damage is not enough for it to be unable to continue with its bombing mission. And Granville number 3 here is now taking the nice long run up. Will he be able to get some damaging shots onto Red 4? We'll see. We've got to speed up again because it's going to take quite a while. Oh! Oh no, Red 4 was not taking any shots. I didn't see any tracer. Aha! Standard tactic, get quite high above them and then take a nice long fast dive. Get some good shots into an aircraft. It looks like he's going for Red 3. Oh yes, Red 3 he's going for. Oh no, he was going for Red 2. I think he changed his mind at the last minute. Oh, and there goes his rudder. And once again, the lack of lift has ruined this aircraft's chances of getting some effective hits in. So I think we can say at this moment in time, GBs would not make very good interceptors either. The most they've done is slightly... Actually... Oh, they have actually damaged Red 2 here a bit, much more to the point where he's dropped all his bombs. So it's not crippled, but they have at least deterred one bomber from its mission. But that's not enough. There's 4 bombers, now 3 that are still armed, and only 2 fighters left, and well, one of them's got a fuel leak. So maybe I can improve this, but right now I think it's safe to say that the GB Model R would be a pretty pathetic dogfighter and not much better as an interceptor. That's all for now, folks. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.